This ancient creation story was erased from history, and the disturbing truth about humanity's origin is more shocking than you could ever imagine. What if everything you thought you knew about where we come from is built on lies? In a world where knowledge is power, the erasure of our past holds the key to our identity. Join us as we unveil the hidden truths that have been buried for centuries. This journey will challenge your beliefs and ignite your curiosity. Meet Elena. She's a woman in her late 20s, living in a sprawling city where millions of people pass by each other every single day. But despite being surrounded by humanity, Elena feels utterly alone. There's a void inside her, a gnawing emptiness that no amount of success, relationships, or distractions can fill. She works a corporate job that pays well but leaves her soul drained. She has friends, but conversations feel hollow and superficial. She's had relationships, but none of them lasted because she could never fully connect with anyone. She lies awake at night, staring at the ceiling of her apartment, wondering who she really is, where she comes from, and why she feels so fundamentally disconnected from everything around her. There's a persistent ache in her chest, a longing for something she can't quite name. Deep down, she knows something is missing, something vital, something stolen from her long ago. Her grandmother's house has always been a place of mystery. Elena grew up visiting during holidays, fascinated by the old Victorian mansion filled with antiques, paintings, and artifacts from around the world. But she never asked questions. Her family discouraged curiosity about the house's contents, and Elena learned early on that some topics were off limits. Now, with her grandmother recently passed, Elena finds herself with the keys to the house and the responsibility of sorting through decades of accumulated possessions. One ordinary Saturday morning, while searching through her grandmother's attic for old photo albums, Elena's hand brushes against something cold and ancient. It's hidden behind a loose brick in the wall, a scroll wrapped in tattered cloth of deep crimson, covered in dust so thick it looks like it hasn't been touched in decades. Her heart begins to race. The moment her fingers touch it, she feels a strange tingling sensation, as if the scroll itself is alive, waiting for her to find it. With trembling hands, she carefully unfolds it, her breath catching in her throat. The scroll is massive, easily 3 feet long, made of material that feels like neither paper nor leather. It's covered in cryptic symbols, intricate designs that seem to shimmer in the dim attic light, forming patterns that are both beautiful and unsettling. Some symbols appear to be ancient cuneiform, others resemble Egyptian hieroglyphics, and still others are completely unknown to her. Yet somehow, impossibly, they feel familiar, like a memory from a past life, like her soul recognizes them even though her mind cannot. Elena spends hours in the attic, photographing the scroll from every angle, trying to decipher even a single symbol. She finds herself drawn into the symbols as if they're calling to her, whispering secrets in a language she once knew but has forgotten. She feels a connection to this artifact that defies logic and reason. It's as if a part of her has been asleep her entire life, and now it's awakening. That evening, unable to contain her excitement, Elena brings the scroll downstairs and shows it to her family. She expects them to be fascinated, to help her uncover its origins. Instead, what happens next changes everything. Her mother's face goes white. Her father's jaw clenches. Her uncle stands up abruptly and leaves the room without saying a word. But it's her grandmother's journal, found among her belongings, that reveals the darkest reaction. When Elena shows the scroll to her family, They don't just dismiss it. They're angry. Viscerally, terrifyingly angry. They demand she put it away immediately, insisting it's nothing but old folklore, superstition, garbage that should have been destroyed long ago. Her mother's voice rises to a pitch Elena has never heard before, filled with desperation and fear. Her father refuses to even look at it, turning his back and walking away. And her grandmother's final words, written in her journal, are cryptic and chilling. If Elna ever finds it, she must be protected. They will come for her. In that moment, Elna realizes the truth. Her family is hiding something massive. Something about this scroll terrifies them in a way that goes beyond rational explanation. Their fear is primal, ancestral, passed down through generations. And that's when her obsession truly begins. She can't sleep. She can't eat. She calls in sick to work. All she can think about is deciphering those symbols, uncovering what her family has been keeping from her all these years. Why would they hide something so important? What are they so afraid of? What truth is so dangerous that it must be buried and forgotten? She makes a decision that will change everything. She's gonna find answers, no matter what it takes. She's gonna uncover the truth, even if it destroys her. Even if it destroys her relationships with her family. Even if it puts her in danger. She begins her research obsessively, spending nights in libraries, searching online databases, reaching out to historians and archaeologists. She photographs the scroll again and again, creating digital copies, studying every detail. She starts a secret journal of her own, documenting her findings, her theories, her growing suspicion that this scroll is connected to something far larger than she ever imagined. But Elena has no idea what she's about to unleash. She has no idea that by pulling on this single thread, she's about to unravel a conspiracy that spans thousands of years. One that powerful people have worked tirelessly to keep hidden. She has no idea that there are organizations, governments, and individuals willing to kill to keep this secret buried. She has no idea that she's not the first person to find this scroll and that those who came before her have disappeared without a trace. She has no idea that her grandmother's death might not have been natural. She has no idea that she's being watched. Elena's apartment becomes her war room. Every wall is covered with printouts of the scroll's symbols, blown up to massive sizes. She's created a massive spreadsheet on her laptop, cross-referencing each symbol with ancient languages from around the world: Sumerian, Sanskrit, Proto-Indo-European, Mycenaean Greek, even languages that are extinct and barely documented. Her kitchen table is buried under books, the history of ancient civilizations, decoding lost languages, forbidden archaeology, the truth about human origins, ancient astronaut theory, the missing link in human evolution. Coffee cups multiply across every surface, some days old, some still steaming. Empty takeout containers stack up in the sink. The apartment smells stale, the curtains permanently drawn. She barely leaves her apartment anymore. Her boss has called multiple times asking when she'll return to work. She doesn't answer. Her friends text her, concerned about her sudden disappearance from their lives. She ignores them. Nothing matters, except the scroll. She's obsessed in a way that frightens even her. She finds herself talking to the scroll, as if it can hear her. She traces the symbols with her fingers over and over, whispering them like incantations, trying to feel their meaning rather than understand it intellectually. At night, she dreams of ancient cities and civilizations that no longer exist, of people with knowledge far beyond what modern humans possess, of warnings written in stone and metal. She wakes up gasping, her heart pounding, unable to remember the dreams, but unable to shake the feeling that they're trying to tell her something important. Late one night, after 3 days without sleep, fueled by energy drinks and raw determination, Elena stumbles upon something. She's been studying a particular cluster of symbols when she notices a pattern, a repeating sequence that appears 7 times throughout the scroll, always in the margins, as if deliberately hidden. The sequence consists of 12 symbols arranged in a specific geometric formation. Her hands shake as she isolates this sequence and begins searching academic databases for any mention of it. She tries every search engine, every obscure archaeology website, every forum dedicated to ancient history. Hours pass, days pass, nothing. Then, at 3 a.m. on the 4th night, buried in an obscure anthropology forum from 2009, she finds a single post from a user named Archaeologist X. The post contains an image of a stone tablet from an archaeological dig in Göbekli Tepe, Turkey. The tablet shows the exact same symbol sequence, carved into stone with precision and care. Göbekli Tepe? Elena has heard of it. It's one of the oldest known structures in the world, dating back over 11,000 years, predating even the Egyptian pyramids by thousands of years. It's located in southeastern Turkey, near the Syrian border, and consists of massive stone pillars arranged in circular formations. Official archaeological consensus suggests it was a ceremonial site built by hunter-gatherers. But what strikes Elena is the date of the post. It was made by someone claiming to be part of an unauthorized excavation team, someone with insider knowledge. The post was quickly deleted, but Elena manages to find a cached version through the Internet Archive. The user wrote, "We found something they don't want us to find. If you're reading this, they've probably already taken it down. But if you have any information about the symbols we found, please contact me." The official narrative is wrong. Everything we've been taught about human history is a lie. There was an advanced civilization here thousands of years before we thought humans were capable of such things. And they left messages that are still relevant today. Messages that certain people want buried forever. Elena tries to find more information about Archaeologist X. The forum account has been deleted. The email address associated with it no longer exists. But she does find something else, a name mentioned in the post, Dr. Marcus Whitmore, a renowned archaeologist who led several expeditions to Göbekli Tepe in the early 2000s. According to his official biography on various university websites, Dr. Whitmore retired from archaeology in 2010 at the height of his career and now lives in seclusion, refusing interviews and public appearances. But Elena finds something more interesting. A newspaper article from 2008 titled, "Archaeologists' Controversial Findings Spark Debate." The article, published in the Cambridge Gazette, mentions that Dr. Whitmore had made claims about evidence of a previously unknown advanced civilization and technological artifacts inconsistent with the accepted timeline of human development. The article goes on to say that his findings were rejected by the mainstream academic community and that he had refused to disclose the location of his excavation site or provide evidence to peer reviewers. The article quotes several prominent archaeologists dismissing his claims as pseudoscientific and harmful to legitimate archaeological research. But there's more. Elena finds a follow-up article from 2009 that mentions Dr. Whitmore had been asked to resign from Cambridge University due to ethical concerns regarding his research methods and his refusal to comply with institutional oversight. The article is vague about the specifics, but it's clear that something significant happened. Whatever Dr. Whitmore discovered, whatever he was trying to prove, it was important enough to destroy his career. Elena's pulse quickens. This is it. This is the connection she's been looking for. Dr. Whitmore has seen something. He knows something. And whatever he knows, it was important enough that he disappeared from public life to protect it. Or perhaps to protect others from it. She spends the next week trying to find Dr. Whitmore. She searches every database she can access. She finds an old address in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but when she calls the number listed, it's been disconnected for years. She tries calling the Cambridge University Department of Archaeology, but they refuse to provide any information about Dr. Whitmore's current whereabouts. She searches social media, but there's nothing. No Facebook profile, no Twitter account, no LinkedIn page. It's as if he's deliberately erased himself from the modern world, cut himself off from society. But then, through a university alumni directory, she finds an email address, m.whitmore, newtonacademy.edu. It's a long shot, and thread so thin it might break at any moment. But she sends him an email explaining that she's found symbols matching his research, that she has a scroll that might contain information he's looking for, and that she desperately needs to speak with him. She doesn't expect a response. She figures the email address is probably defunct, that Dr. Whitmore has abandoned all his old connections. She tries to move on, to pursue other leads, but the lack of response gnaws at her. Days pass. A week passes. She begins to lose hope. But then, on a Tuesday afternoon, her phone rings. Unknown number. Elena's heart nearly stops as she answers, her voice trembling slightly. Ms. Elena Chen? The voice is male, older, careful, with an accent she can't quite place. I received your email. I need to know, where did you find that scroll? Elena explains about her grandmother, about finding it hidden behind a brick in the attic. She describes the scroll in detail, the symbols, the material it's made from, everything she's discovered about it. As she speaks, she can hear Dr. Whitmore's breathing on the other end of the line, quick and shallow, as if he's shocked or frightened. There's a long silence when she finishes. Listen to me very carefully, Dr. Whitmore says, his voice urgent and low, almost a whisper. You need to hide that scroll. Don't show it to anyone. Don't tell anyone you have it. And whatever you do, don't try to decode it yourself. You're in danger. Real danger. I made the mistake of pursuing this research openly, and it cost me everything. My career, my reputation, my family. My wife left me, my children won't speak to me, I lost my position at the university, and I was lucky. Others who got too close to the truth didn't survive to tell about it. I'm telling you this because your grandmother was a good woman, and I believe she would want you to be safe. Wait, Elena says, her mind racing, her hands trembling as she grips the phone. You knew my grandmother? How? Why? Would she have this scroll? Another pause, longer this time. When Dr. Whitmore speaks again, his voice is heavy with emotion and regret. Your grandmother was part of something. A group of people who understood the truth about human history, about where we really come from. She was protecting that scroll, keeping it safe until the right person found it. I believe that person is you, but understanding why requires me to explain things that will sound insane to you. things that contradict everything you've been taught, everything you believe about the world, and I can't explain over the phone. It's not safe. Phone lines can be monitored. There are people, organizations who have resources you can't imagine. They monitor communications, they track movements, they eliminate threats. If I explain this over the phone, we'll both be in danger. Who? Elena asks, her voice barely audible. Who are these people? What do they want? That's what I'll explain when you get here. But first, you need to disappear. Don't use your credit cards. Don't use your phone. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Not your family, not your friends, not your employer. Can you do that? Can you trust me enough to do that? Elena hesitates. Everything in her screams that this is insane, that she's talking to a stranger on the phone, that she's about to make a decision that could ruin her life. But something deeper, something primal tells her that this is real, that the danger is real, that her entire life has been leading to this moment. Yes, she says, I can do that. Good, I'm sending you an address. Memorize it and then delete the message. Don't write it down. Don't take a screenshot. Just memorize it. You'll need to take a bus or a train. Nothing that requires identification if you can help it. Bring the scroll and nothing else. Do you understand? I understand, Elena says. As she hangs up the phone, she realizes she's just crossed a threshold. There's no turning back now. She's about to step into a world of secrets and shadows, a world where the truth is a weapon and knowledge is a curse. She's about to abandon her life, her job, her apartment, her relationships, everything, to chase answers that might destroy her. She looks at the scroll, still laid out on her table, its ancient symbols seeming to glow in the lamplight. Whatever answers it holds, whatever truth it contains, she's about to discover it, and her life will never be the same. She begins to pack, her hands moving mechanically as her mind spins with questions and fears and a strange sense of inevitability. She's been running toward this moment her entire life without even knowing it. And now, finally, she's ready to face whatever comes next. Elena moves with purpose and precision, every action calculated to leave no trace. She withdraws $5,000 in cash from her bank account, enough to travel without using her credit cards, but not so much that it triggers any automatic alerts. She's researched this carefully, understanding that large cash withdrawals can flag suspicious activity reports. She makes the withdrawal in smaller increments over 3 days, visiting different branches of her bank, always dressed differently, always paying in a way that seems natural and unobtrusive. She packs a single backpack with essentials: clothes, toiletries, her laptop, and the scroll wrapped carefully in cloth and placed in a waterproof bag designed for camping. She leaves her phone on her kitchen counter, knowing that GPS tracking could follow her if she carries it. The decision to abandon her phone feels like severing a limb, a connection to the modern world that has defined her entire adult life. But she understands the necessity. She takes a moment to mourn the loss of her digital identity before letting it go. She writes a brief email to her boss, claiming a family emergency requires her to take an indefinite leave of absence. She doesn't elaborate. She knows that vagueness is safer than specifics. She leaves her apartment exactly as it is. Dishes in the sink, books on the table, printouts on the walls. If anyone comes looking, they'll think she left in a hurry, which is the truth. She locks the door and walks away, knowing she may never return. The finality of it hits her as she descends the stairs. This apartment has been her home for 5 years, filled with memories and comfort, and she's abandoning it without looking back. She takes a taxi to the bus station rather than driving her own car, which could be tracked. The bus station is crowded, anonymous, perfect. Exactly the kind of place where a single person can disappear into the masses. Elena buys a ticket to Boston with cash, paying in small bills to avoid drawing attention. She uses a fake name, something she's prepared in advance, and the ticket agent barely glances at her. She sits in the back of the bus, watching the city disappear behind her, watching the familiar streets transform into highways and then into countryside. The journey takes 8 hours. She doesn't sleep. Her mind is too active, too filled with questions and fears and the strange exhilaration of the unknown. She stares out the window at the passing landscape, wondering if she's being followed, if there are people tracking her movements, if the danger Dr. Whitmore warned her about is already closing in. The bus arrives in Boston at dusk, the sky turning shades of orange and purple as the sun sets behind the city skyline. Elena gets off at the downtown terminal and immediately takes another bus, this one heading toward the suburbs. She gets off 3 stops before her actual destination and walks the remaining distance on foot, taking a circuitous route through residential neighborhoods. She's being paranoid, she knows, but paranoia seems like a reasonable response to her current situation. The address Dr. Whitmore gave her is in Newton, Massachusetts, a small town just outside Boston, known for its tree-lined streets and historic homes. It's a house. An old Victorian mansion, actually. Not unlike her grandmother's house. The resemblance sends a chill down her spine. How many houses like this exist? How many secrets do they hold? How many families have hidden the truth behind these walls? She finds the address on a quiet, tree-lined street, the house set back from the road, surrounded by overgrown gardens and ancient oak trees that must be over 100 years old. The paint is peeling in long strips, revealing the weathered wood beneath. The windows are dark, curtained from the inside. It looks abandoned, like a house that time has forgotten. But as Elena approaches, moving slowly up the gravel driveway, the front door opens. A man steps out, tall, thin, with gray hair and intense blue eyes that seem to look right through her. He's older than she expected, perhaps in his 70s, with the weathered face of someone who has lived a hard life, someone who has carried burdens that have aged him beyond his years. His skin is lined with wrinkles that tell stories of stress and worry. He's wearing a cardigan sweater despite the cold, and his hands shake slightly as he gestures for her to come inside. There's something both welcoming and frightening about him, something that makes Elena want to trust him and run away at the same time. "Elena," he says, his voice soft but carrying weight, as if her name is a sacred thing. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for trusting me. I know this is difficult. I know you're frightened, but you're safe here. For now, you're safe." Inside, the house is warmer than it appears from the outside. There's a fire burning in the living room fireplace, casting dancing shadows on the walls that seem to move like living things. The house is filled with books, thousands of them lining every wall, stacked on tables and chairs, piled on the floor in precarious towers. There are also artifacts, ancient pottery with intricate designs, stone tablets carved with symbols, wooden figurines that seem to represent beings or deities, and other objects that Elena recognizes as archaeological treasures. Some of them look priceless, the kind of items that should be in museums. Some of them look impossible, technology that shouldn't exist in ancient times. devices whose purpose she can't fathom. There's a bronze sphere covered in intricate geometric patterns. There's what appears to be a mechanical device made of unknown materials that seems to have no purpose in any civilization she knows about. There are charts and maps on the wall showing star constellations, ancient cities, and migration patterns. "Welcome to my sanctuary," Dr. Whitmore says, watching her reaction carefully, studying her face to see if she's overwhelmed or skeptical or curious. "This is where I've spent the last 15 years, cataloging and studying the evidence that the world doesn't want to know about. This is where I've hidden the truth, protected it, preserved it for someone like you." Elena sets down her backpack and carefully removes the scroll, unwrapping it slowly and laying it out on a large wooden table in the center of the room. The table is ancient, made of dark wood that's been polished to a deep shine. Dr. Whitmore's eyes widen as he sees the scroll fully revealed. He approaches slowly, reverently, as if approaching a religious relic that might crumble to dust if he's not careful. He doesn't touch it at first, just studies it from a distance, his breathing becoming shallow and rapid. She can see tears forming in his eyes. "My God," he whispers, his voice breaking with emotion. "It's real. I've spent my entire life searching for evidence of the Keepers, and I never thought I'd actually see one of their documents. Your grandmother was braver than I gave her credit for. She was braver than any of us." Elena sets down her backpack and watches Dr. Whitmore carefully, trying to read him, trying to determine if he's trustworthy or if she's made a terrible mistake. "The Keepers?" Elena asks. "What are the Keepers? Who are they? What do they do?" Dr. Whitmore turns to face her, and she sees the weight of knowledge in his eyes. The burden of truths that have isolated him from the world, that have destroyed his career and his relationships, that have made him a prisoner in his own home. "Sit down," he says, gesturing to the leather armchair by the fire. "This is going to take a while, and you need to be sitting down when you hear it. What I'm about to tell you will change everything you believe about yourself, about your family, about human history, about the nature of reality itself." Elena sits in an old leather armchair by the fire, the leather cracked with age but still comfortable. Dr. Whitmore sits across from her in a matching chair, and for a moment, he just stares into the flames, gathering his thoughts, composing himself, preparing to share secrets that have consumed his life. "Everything you've been taught about human history is incomplete," he begins, his voice steady now, measured, like a professor delivering a lecture he's given 1,000 times. "Not necessarily false, but incomplete. The official narrative tells us that humans evolved in Africa, slowly developing language and tools over millions of years, eventually building civilizations in Mesopotamia and Egypt around 5,000 years ago. We're told that we progressed from hunter-gatherers to agricultural societies to urban centers. We're told that writing was invented independently in several places, that technology developed gradually, that human knowledge accumulated slowly over time, but that narrative is missing a crucial chapter, a chapter that certain powerful people have worked very hard to erase from history." He stands up and walks to a bookshelf, pulling down several ancient texts and archaeological reports, spreading them out on the table next to the scroll. "Approximately 13,000 years ago, there was an advanced civilization on Earth," he continues. "Not as advanced as modern civilization in some ways, but in other ways, far more advanced. They possess knowledge and technology that shouldn't have been possible at that time according to our current understanding of human development. They built structures that we're only now beginning to understand. Structures like Göbekli Tepe, like the pyramids in Egypt, like Stonehenge, like Pumapunku in South America. These structures are too sophisticated, too precise, too aligned with astronomical phenomena to have been built by primitive peoples. They possessed astronomical knowledge that rivals our own, with an understanding of the precession of the equinoxes and the movements of celestial bodies that took modern astronomy centuries to rediscover. They had a writing system, multiple writing systems actually, a legal code, and a form of governance that was remarkably sophisticated. And they were wiped out. Wiped out how? Elena asks, her voice barely above a whisper, her hands gripping the arms of the chair. That's the question that has consumed my life, Dr. Whitmore says, his eyes intense, his voice passionate. The evidence suggests a catastrophic event, possibly a meteor strike, possibly a massive earthquake, possibly a combination of natural disasters, or possibly something else entirely. There are ancient texts from multiple civilizations that describe a great flood, a time of darkness, a period when the sun was hidden from the sky. These accounts are remarkably consistent across cultures that had no contact with each other. But before they disappeared, before the civilization was erased from the historical record, they left behind records, messages, warnings, and they left behind people to protect those records, people called the keepers. Your grandmother was one of them, and based on the symbols on that scroll, the way it was hidden, the care with which it was preserved, I believe you are too. Elena feels the world tilting beneath her, reality shifting like sand beneath her feet. That's impossible. My grandmother never told me anything about being a keeper or about any ancient civilization. She never told me anything important at all. She was just my grandmother. She baked cookies and told stories and gave advice about boys. She wasn't some secret guardian of ancient knowledge. She couldn't tell you, Dr. Whitmore says, his voice gentle but firm. The keepers operate in secret. They've operated in secret for thousands of years, passing down knowledge from generation to generation, protecting the artifacts and documents that prove the existence of this lost civilization. The knowledge is passed down only to those who are ready for it, only to those who have demonstrated the ability to handle the truth without being destroyed by it. If the truth came out, if the world knew that human history was radically different from what we've been taught, it would destabilize governments, religions, and the entire foundation of our society. Wars would be fought over these artifacts. Religions would crumble. The power structures that hold civilization together would collapse. There are people, very powerful people, who have a vested interest in keeping this secret buried. They've spent thousands of years ensuring that the truth remains hidden. He walks to a window and peers out at the darkening evening, his silhouette framed against the glass. Your grandmother knew this. She knew the danger. She knew that by giving you the scroll, she was putting you in danger. But she also knew that you needed to know the truth. She knew that you were destined for something greater than an ordinary life. She saw something in you, a potential, a strength, a connection to the old knowledge that runs through your bloodline like a river of light. Elena stands up, her mind reeling, her heart pounding in her chest. This is insane. You're talking about a secret society, about hidden civilizations, about conspiracies. How do I know you're not just a crazy old man living in a house filled with junk? How do I know you haven't manipulated me into coming here? How do I know any of this is real? You don't, Dr. Whitmore says calmly, turning away from the window to face her. But you came here, didn't you? You left your life behind and traveled 8 hours to meet a stranger. You abandoned your job, your apartment, your friends, your entire existence. Why? Because somewhere deep inside, you know this is real. You can feel it. The scroll called to you because it recognizes you, and you recognize it. There's a part of your consciousness that remembers, that has always known, that has been waiting for this moment your entire life. Elena wants to argue, wants to dismiss him as delusional, wants to grab the scroll and run, but she can't. Because he's right. From the moment she touched the scroll, she's felt a connection to it that transcends logic. It's as if a part of her has been asleep her entire life, waiting to be awakened. It's as if the symbols speak to something deep within her soul, something ancient and powerful and true. What does the scroll say? She asks. Her voice steady now, her fear giving way to curiosity and determination. Can you read it? Can you tell me what my grandmother left for me? Dr. Whitmore nods and returns to the table, studying the scroll more carefully now, his eyes moving across the symbols with the reverence of someone reading scripture. Some of it, he says. The keepers use a hybrid language, a combination of ancient symbols that appear in multiple civilizations throughout history. It's their way of encoding information so that only those with the proper knowledge can understand it. Only those who have been trained, who have been initiated, who carry the bloodline of the keepers. But I've spent years studying these symbols, and I can make out portions of it. I can read enough to know that this is important. This is crucial. He traces his finger along the scroll, reading aloud in a voice that seems to come from somewhere far away. Somewhere ancient. This is a record of the warning. This is a chronicle of what came before and what will come again. To those who find this scroll, you are the chosen ones. You are the keepers of the truth. The time of revelation approaches. The signs are appearing. The old knowledge must be recovered before it is too late. The return is coming. The cycle is turning. The age of darkness gives way to the age of light. Prepare yourselves. The guardians are stirring. The watchers are awakening. And soon, very soon, the truth will no longer be hidden. Elena feels her skin prickle with goosebumps, a sensation of electricity running through her body. The return. The return of what? What is coming? What are you talking about? That, Dr. Whitmore says, his face suddenly grave, is what we need to find out. And that is why they will be looking for you. That is why we're in danger. As if on cue, there's a sound outside. A car pulling up to the house, the crunch of gravel under tires, the sound of doors opening and closing. Multiple doors. Multiple people. Dr. Whitmore's face goes pale, the color draining from his cheeks like water from a broken vessel. They've found us, he whispers, his voice trembling with fear. Faster than I expected, much faster. They must have been tracking you somehow, or they've been monitoring my communications. We need to leave, now. There's a back entrance through the kitchen. We need to move quickly and quietly. Grab the scroll. The sound of footsteps on the porch. The sound of someone trying the front door handle. The sound of voices, low and urgent, discussing entry strategies. Elena grabs the scroll with shaking hands, her heart pounding so hard she thinks it might burst from her chest. She's crossed another threshold. There's no turning back now. The danger is real. The conspiracy is real, and her life as she knew it is truly over. Dr. Whitmore moves with surprising speed for a man in his 70s, his body responding to adrenaline and years of preparation. He grabs Elena's arm and pulls her toward the kitchen, his grip firm but not painful. Behind them, there's the sound of the front door being forced open, hinges groaning in protest, wood splintering. Voices flood into the house, professional, calm, organized. These aren't ordinary intruders. These are trained operatives. "Keep the scroll close," Dr. Whitmore hisses as they rush through the kitchen. "Don't let it out of your sight. It's the only proof we have." The kitchen is old, filled with vintage appliances and worn wooden cabinets. Dr. Whitmore moves to what appears to be a pantry door and pulls it open, revealing not shelves, but a narrow passageway descending into darkness. He pulls a flashlight from a hook on the wall. He's clearly prepared for this contingency, and gestures for Elena to enter. "This tunnel was built in the 1800s, he explains quickly as they descend. "Part of the Underground Railroad network, repurposed and extended. It connects to the basement of the house next door. We can get to the street from there." Elena clutches the scroll to her chest as they move through the passage. The air is cold and damp, smelling of earth and age. The beam of the flashlight cuts through the darkness, illuminating stone walls that seem to pulse with history. Behind them, they can hear the operatives searching the house, overturning furniture, breaking glass, shouting orders to each other. "How did they find us?" Elena asks, breathless, her feet moving quickly across the uneven ground. "I don't know," Dr. Whitmore admits, his voice tight with frustration. "I've been careful. I've used encrypted communications, burner phones, cash only, but they have resources I can't compete with. Satellite imagery, facial recognition, financial tracking. The moment you withdrew that cash from your bank, the moment you bought that bus ticket, you left a digital trail. I should have been more careful. I should have given you better instructions." They emerge into another basement, this one belonging to a different house. Dr. Whitmore leads her up a narrow staircase to a side door that opens onto an alley. Outside, the night is cold and clear, the stars visible despite the ambient light from the town. They move quickly but carefully, staying in the shadows, avoiding street lights. "We need to get to my car," Dr. Whitmore says. "It's parked 3 blocks away in a garage. I always keep it fueled and ready. I've been expecting something like this for years." They move through the residential streets of Newton. 2 figures in the darkness, hunted and hunted. Elena's mind is reeling. Everything is happening so fast, reality spiraling out of control. An hour ago, she was sitting by a fireplace listening to impossible stories. Now she's running for her life, clutching an ancient scroll, following a man she barely knows into the night. "Who are they?" Elena asks as they walk. "Who's chasing us?" "I don't know exactly," Dr. Whitmore says, "but I have theories. There's an organization. They call themselves the Syndicate, though that's not their real name. They've existed for centuries, maybe longer. Their purpose is to suppress the truth about human history, to keep the secret of the lost civilization buried. They have connections in governments, in academia, and intelligence agencies. They're not interested in the scroll for academic reasons. They want to destroy it. They want to ensure that the truth never comes to light." They reach the garage, a small, nondescript building that looks like it could house anything. Dr. Whitmore uses a key card to open the gate, and they slip inside. The garage is nearly empty, just a few cars parked in scattered spaces. Dr. Whitmore leads Elena to a dark blue sedan. Unremarkable and forgettable. Exactly the kind of car that wouldn't stand out in traffic. They get in, and Dr. Whitmore starts the engine. The car rumbles to life, and he carefully drives out of the garage, keeping to side streets, avoiding the main roads. Elena watches the town pass by through the window, wondering if anyone is following them, if they've already been spotted. "Where are we going?" Elena asks. "Away from here," Dr. Whitmore says, "as far as we can get. There's a place I know in upstate New York where we can lay low, an old safe house maintained by the keepers. It's off the grid. No electricity, no running water, but it's hidden. It's safe, at least for a while." They drive through the night, heading north on Route 91, the highway stretching before them like a ribbon of possibility. Elena watches the mile markers pass, counting them off like prayers. She thinks about her apartment, her job, her life, all of it abandoned now, all of it left behind like a discarded skin. "Tell me about my grandmother," Elena says after they've been driving for an hour. "Tell me about what she was involved in." Dr. Whitmore is quiet for a long moment, his hands gripping the steering wheel, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. "Your grandmother was extraordinary," he finally says. "I met her about 30 years ago at an archaeological conference. She wasn't a professional archaeologist, but she had knowledge that most professionals don't possess. She had been trained by the keepers, initiated into their order when she was young. She knew about the lost civilization, about the artifacts, about the truth that the world has forgotten. Why didn't she tell me?" Elena asks, her voice tinged with hurt and betrayal. "Why did she keep it secret?" "Because she was protecting you," Dr. Whitmore says. "The keepers believe in something called the burden of knowledge. They believe that knowing the truth about human history carries a responsibility, a danger. Your grandmother wanted you to have a normal life, to be happy, to be free from the weight of the secret. But she also knew that you were special, that you carried something in your blood, something that would eventually call to you. She left you the scroll because she believed that when the time was right, you would be ready to understand it." "And is it?" Elena asks. "Am I ready?" "I don't know," Dr. Whitmore says honestly. "I don't think anyone is ever truly ready for something like this. But you're here, you're alive, and you have the scroll. That's what matters now." They drive through Connecticut, through Massachusetts, pushing north into Vermont. The landscape changes, becoming more rural, more wild. The towns they pass through get smaller, the roads narrower, the civilization more sparse. Elena dozes fitfully, her dreams filled with ancient symbols and shadowy figures chasing her through endless corridors. When she wakes, they're on a dirt road, surrounded by dense forest. The sun is beginning to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Dr. Whitmore is still, driving, his face haggard, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. "We're almost there," he says. "Another hour and we'll be safe." But as they round a bend in the road, Elena sees something that makes her blood run cold. There's a black SUV parked across the road, blocking their path. And there are people standing beside it, 3 figures in dark clothing, their posture alert and professional. "Damn," Dr. Whitmore mutters. He slams on the brakes and the car skids to a stop, kicking up dust. "They've found us again. They must have been tracking the car." He puts the car in reverse and hits the accelerator, but as they back up, another SUV appears behind them, cutting off their escape route. They're trapped. The scroll. Dr. Whitmore says urgently. "Give me the scroll." Elena hands it to him, and he immediately removes a lighter from his pocket. For a moment, Elena thinks he's going to burn it, but instead, he uses the lighter to illuminate a hidden compartment in the dashboard. Inside is a small metal box. He places the scroll inside and closes it, then presses a button hidden beneath the steering wheel. The metal box suddenly descends, disappearing into some kind of mechanism beneath the car. "What did you do?" Elena asks. "Bought us time," Dr. Whitmore says. "The scroll is secure. They can't get to it now." The car doors are suddenly yanked open. Strong hands pull Elena and Dr. Whitmore from the vehicle. Elena struggles, but the grip is too strong, too professional. She's thrown to the ground, her hands pinned behind her back. Through her fear and adrenaline, she catches a glimpse of one of her captors, a woman with cold gray eyes and a scar running down her left cheek. "Dr. Whitmore," the woman says, her voice calm and measured. "You've led us on quite a chase, but it's over now. You're coming with us, and the girl. Well, the girl's gonna help us find what we're looking for." As Elena is forced into the back of the SUV, as the door slams shut and the vehicle begins to move, she realizes that everything has changed again. The danger is no longer theoretical. It's real, immediate, and closing in around her like a cage. The scroll is hidden somewhere in the car. Somewhere these people can't find it. But Elena and Dr. Whitmore are prisoners now, and she has no idea what comes next. The SUV travels for what feels like hours, though Elena has lost all sense of time. She's sitting in the back seat, her hands zip-tied behind her back, a black hood covering her head. The darkness is absolute, suffocating, a physical presence that presses against her skin. She can hear Dr. Whitmore breathing somewhere nearby, also hooded, also restrained. The vehicle moves smoothly, suggesting they're on a highway. Then the motion becomes rougher, suggesting smaller roads. Then finally it stops. Hands grab Elena and pull her from the vehicle. She stumbles, her legs stiff from sitting, her balance compromised by the hood. She's guided forward, her captor's hands firm on her arms. She can hear the sound of a large door opening, the echo suggesting a cavernous space. They're inside some kind of building now, a warehouse or facility of some kind. The hood is suddenly removed, and Elena blinks against the sudden light. She's in a vast underground chamber carved from stone, illuminated by harsh fluorescent lights. The walls are lined with metal shelving holding countless artifacts, pottery, statues, tablets, devices that look impossibly advanced. This is an archive, Elena realizes, a repository of the very things Dr. Whitmore has been searching for. Dr. Whitmore stands a few feet away, also hooded until moments ago, his face pale but determined. The woman with the scar stands before them, flanked by several armed guards. She's studying Elena with an intensity that makes her skin crawl. "Welcome," the woman says, her voice carrying an accent Elena can't quite place. "I am Director Voss. I represent an organization that has been protecting humanity from dangerous truths for a very long time. You've stumbled into something far larger than you understand, Ms. Chen. And Dr. Whitmore, you've been a thorn in our side for far too long." "What do you want?" Elena asks, her voice steadier than she feels. "The scroll," Voss says simply. "Dr. Whitmore has hidden it somewhere, and you're going to help us find it." "I don't know where it is," Elena says, which is technically true. "He hid it before we were captured." Voss smiles, an expression devoid of warmth. "I believe you. But you see, we have ways of making people remember things they didn't know they knew. We have technologies, techniques, methods that have been refined over centuries. We can extract information from your subconscious mind, from the very cells of your body. But I'm hoping we won't need to resort to such measures. She gestures, and the guards force Elena and Dr. Whitmore into separate cells, small concrete rooms with a single metal table and chair. Elena's locked in alone, the door slamming shut with a finality that echoes in her chest. Hours pass, or maybe it's days. Without windows, without any way to track time, Elena loses all sense of it. She sits on the metal chair, her mind spiraling through possibilities and fears. She thinks about her grandmother, about the scroll, about the truth that seems to be worth dying for. She wonders if Dr. Whitmore is being tortured, if they've broken him, if he's revealed everything he knows. Finally, the door opens. Voss enters, carrying a tablet. She sits across from Elena, her movements casual, almost friendly. "I've been reading your file," Voss says. Elena Chen, age 32, worked as a data analyst for a financial firm. No criminal record, no political affiliations, no religious extremism. You were living a perfectly normal life until you found that scroll. And then everything changed. "What do you want from me?" Elena asks. "I want to understand," Voss says. "I want to know what your grandmother told you. I want to know what you know about the Keepers. And most importantly, I want to know where Dr. Whitmore hid that scroll." "I can't help you," Elena says. Voss leans back in her chair, studying Elena with those cold gray eyes. "You know, the Keepers have been our adversaries for thousands of years. They believe the truth should be revealed, that humanity deserves to know the real history of this world. We believe the opposite. We believe that some truths are too dangerous, too destabilizing. We believe that the masses cannot handle the knowledge of what came before, of what might come again. And we've spent millennia ensuring that our vision prevails." "What came before?" Elena asks, unable to stop herself. "What is this truth that's so dangerous?" Voss stands up and walks to a wall panel, touching it with her hand. The wall suddenly displays a holographic image, a city of impossible architecture, towers of crystal and metal reaching toward the sky, structures that seem to defy the laws of physics. The city is beautiful, breathtaking, and utterly alien. "This is Atlantia," Voss says, "the capital of the civilization that existed 13,000 years ago. It was a society of unparalleled advancement with technology and knowledge that we've only begun to rediscover. They had weapons that could level mountains. They had spacecraft that could travel between the stars. They had the ability to manipulate matter at the atomic level. They were gods in every sense of the word." The image shifts, showing the city being destroyed. A massive explosion, a wave of destruction, buildings crumbling to dust. "And then they were destroyed," Voss continues, "by their own weapons, by their own hubris. They created something they couldn't control, and it consumed them. The world was plunged into darkness. Civilization was set back thousands of years. And when humanity finally began to rebuild, we made a decision. We would ensure that such a thing never happened again. We would suppress the knowledge of that ancient civilization. We would keep the truth hidden, locked away, protected from those who might be tempted to rediscover their weapons, their technology, their power." Elena stares at the holographic image, her mind struggling to process what she's seeing. "You're saying that the Keepers want to reveal this?" Elena asks. "They want people to know about Atlantia?" "Yes," Voss says. "And more than that, They believe that the beings who created Atlantia are returning. They believe in something they call the cycle, the idea that civilizations rise and fall in predictable patterns, that the same catastrophes repeat, that the same beings come back again and again. The scroll you're carrying contains information about the signs of this return, about how to prepare for it, about how to welcome it. The Keepers believe the return is imminent, and they want humanity to be ready. And you don't want that, Elena says. We don't, Voss confirms, because if those beings return, if the ancient knowledge is recovered, if humanity has access to the technology and weapons of Atlantia, civilization as we know it will end. There will be war, chaos, destruction. The powerful will fight for control of the technology. Nations will collapse. Billions will die. We're trying to prevent that. Elena wants to argue, wants to point out the hypocrisy of suppressing knowledge in the name of protection, but she's beginning to understand the complexity of the situation. Both sides believe they're right. Both sides believe they're saving the world. Where is Dr. Whitmore? Elena asks. In another cell, Voss says. We've been having a similar conversation with him. He's being more cooperative than you are, I might add. He's already told us several things about the Keepers organization, about their members, about their plans. Elena feels a chill run down her spine. Has Dr. Whitmore betrayed her? Has he told them everything? As if reading her thoughts, Voss smiles. Don't worry. He hasn't told us where the scroll is. He's quite devoted to the cause, despite everything. But he's given us enough information to accelerate our operations. We're moving up our timeline. We're going to find every member of the Keepers, every artifact, every document, and we're going to erase them all from history. The door opens, and guards enter. They grab Elena and pull her to her feet. Where are you taking me? Elena asks. To the lab, Voss says. We're going to try something different. We're going to use technology to access your subconscious mind to see what you know, what you remember, what your grandmother told you. It's not pleasant, but it's effective. Elena struggles, but the guards are too strong. She's dragged from the cell, down a long corridor, into a room filled with equipment that looks like something from a science fiction film. There's a chair with restraints, and above it, a helmet covered in sensors and electrodes. This technology was developed based on Atlantean designs, Voss explains as Elena is forced into the chair. It allows us to read neural patterns, to access memories, to extract information directly from the brain. It's painless mostly. You might experience some discomfort, some disorientation, but you'll survive. And we'll get what we need. The helmet is lowered onto Elena's head, and the electrodes make contact with her skin. She feels a tingling sensation, then a burning, then a sudden rush of images and sensations flooding her consciousness. She sees her grandmother's face, sees the moment the scroll was pressed into her hands, sees memories that aren't hers, memories from her grandmother, from ancestors stretching back through time, a chain of keepers extending into the distant past. She sees the return of the beings, sees cities of light descending from the sky, sees the transformation of human civilization. She sees both the promise and the peril of that return. And she understands, finally, why. Both the Keepers and the Syndicate believe what they believe. Because the future is uncertain. The return could be salvation or damnation, depending on how humanity is prepared for it. As the machine extracts her memories, As her consciousness is pulled apart and examined, Elena realizes something crucial. The scroll doesn't contain instructions for welcoming the return. It contains something far more important. It contains a choice. It contains the knowledge necessary for humanity to decide its own fate, to choose its own path, rather than having that choice made for them by either the Keepers or the Syndicate. And that, Elena understands, is why both sides are so desperate to control it. The neural extraction machine powers down. Elena's mind feels violated, exposed. Voss reviews the data on a holographic display, her expression cold. Your grandmother hid information well, Voss says. It will take time to fully decrypt. Elena's head throbs. They didn't get everything. Some of her grandmother's legacy remains protected. Hours or days later, Dr. Whitmore is thrown into her cell, bruised and exhausted, but alive. He collapses beside her on the cot. They used a machine on me too, he says quietly, but I managed to hold back the critical information. Why are we together? Elena asks. If they're trying to keep us separated. Because they're confident, Dr. Whitmore interrupts. They think they can find the scroll without us. And they're probably right. Elena feels despair wash over her. Everything they've sacrificed will be for nothing. But there's something you need to know, Dr. Whitmore continues, glancing toward the door. The scroll isn't the most important thing. Your grandmother encoded something far more valuable into your genetic material, latent abilities. You have the potential to interface with Atlantean technology to access ancient knowledge in ways others cannot. Before Elena can respond, alarms blare. Red lights flash. Gunfire echoes through the corridors. The cell door explodes open. A woman in tactical gear removes her mask, revealing a face that mirrors Elena's own. I'm Kira, she says. Your great aunt, your grandmother's twin sister. The Keepers sent me to get you out. They run through the chaos. In the archive chamber, Elena sees a massive crystalline structure pulsing with inner light, covered in symbols matching those on the scroll. Welcome, child of the Keepers. A voice resonates directly in Elena's mind. The time of your awakening has come. A sentinel, Dr. Whitmore breathes. A being of pure consciousness from Atlantia. The Syndicate imprisoned it here. The scroll is a key, the sentinel continues. A key to understanding what we are, what we were, what we will become. You are one of the keys to the return. We need to go, Kira urges. The Syndicate is destroying this facility. They escape to a waiting helicopter. As it lifts off, Elena watches the facility explode below, a pillar of fire consuming everything. They're destroying it all, Elena says. Yes, Kira confirms. But the knowledge is inside you now. Your grandmother made sure of that. You're a living archive, Elena. You're the key to everything that comes next. Where are we going? Elena asks. To the Keeper's headquarters, Kira says. A place hidden from the world for thousands of years. It's time for you to meet the Council, to understand what we're trying to accomplish. You must choose. Do you accept your role as a Keeper? Elena looks at her great aunt, at this woman who is both stranger and family. She thinks about everything she's learned, everything she's become. I choose to understand, Elena says. I choose to learn the truth. And then I choose to decide what to do with it. Kira smiles warmly. Your grandmother said you would say something like that. She always believed you were special. As the helicopter carries them toward an unknown future, Elena gazes at the stars, wondering what lies ahead. wondering if the return of the ancient beings will be salvation or catastrophe. The scroll may be destroyed, but the truth lives on, in her mind, in her blood, in the knowledge passed down through generations of keepers. The real journey is just beginning.